So let's start with a let's start with a few questions. I like to ask these questions to start every presentation. Do you know why you do what you do? Have you ever just really asked yourself, why do I do what I do? Not what's important to me, not what's my purpose, my mission. Why I do everything I do the way that I do it? Think about that for a moment and keep that in mind as we continue throughout today. You ever wonder why others don't just do things the way you think they should be done? Wouldn't the world be a so much better place if everybody just did things the way we think it should be done? You ever wonder why you have energy for some things and not others? You ever wonder why you're passionate about some things and not others? You ever wonder why you quickly connect with some people? You come into a room like this with 41 people, and there are some people you're going to connect with so fast. It's like you've known each other forever. And there are some people you could talk to them for an hour and still wonder where the heck did they come from, right? Why do you make the decisions you make? Why do you behave the way you do? Why do you react the way you do to certain things? We're going to answer those questions, at least not 100%. I mean, I think that's a lofty goal, but we are, like I said, you're going to be glad you were here. So those are some of the questions I like to think, just to get you in the mind and the mindset of thinking about why. So here's our agenda today. We're going to talk about why is the why important? What is a why, by the way? And what is a Y operating system, or a YOS, as you heard Lindsay say in the introduction? Then we're going to help you understand it. And more importantly, we're going to say, hey, how do I use this darn Y thing that Dan is talking about, right? So we're going to do all of those things. Why do you need to know your why? You know, a lot of us probably has to, especially post-pandemic, this is a big question, right? Why do I do what I do? So this all started with Simon Sinek way back when in 2009. Can you believe it? It's been almost 14 years since he came out with that book. He gave that famous TED Talk that only about 81 people saw live, and now has been seen by millions of people, talking about your why, your how, and your what. Tony Robbins says, when you know your why, you'll know how to live. Michael Hyatt says, when you know your why, you'll know your way. And Friedrich Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. It'll give you the grit, the strength to get through almost anyhow, if you know your why. And my favorite quote is this one by Mark Twain: the two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. So why is that important? I know we're a little late on the first one. Everybody here has been born. Raise your hand if you haven't been born yet, right? But the second one we can still help you with. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to get a few people that are with us tonight to share their why. And then we're going to talk about that too, so you can get an insight into what it is. So we believe that your personal why is your superpower. You know, if Superman was here, and for those of you that are too young, he's a superhero. For me, I grew up with it, right? He was Clark Kent. He wore glasses, he wore a suit, and very unassuming, right? And if you saw Clark Kent, you would say, oh, you know, nice guy, mild-mannered. But if you opened up his shirt and you saw that red S on his chest, you knew that that was the Man of Steel, and that he could fly. He could do a lot of amazing things. Well, that's what I think your why is. I think that when you know your why and you can live into it, and just like strengths, which a lot of you are familiar with at Sarasota University, when you can live into your strengths, when you can live into your why, if you can do both, then you know your superpower. You know what it is that you bring to the table and what it is that you can do better than almost anyone else. So, you know, this is the part of the show, and I'll call it a show because I just did my show today. The part of the presentation where I'm going to show a video, because, you know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, I believe that a video is worth 1,000 pictures, right? So let's save 1,000,000 words and show you a video that talks about the importance of knowing your why. And this is a video by Michael Jr. He's a comedian. He travels around the country and talks to audiences all over the US. And sometimes in the middle of his show, he'll stop and talk to the audience, and something funny happens, or he'll learn something really cool. And in this video, he talks to a choir director. He pulls him up from the audience and he says he's a musical director. And he says, well, if you're a musical director, well, show me how you can sing. And I'll just let the video play, but I want you to think about what's different as you watch this video, and it'll make sense as we go through it. So let me click play.
So you're a musical director?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now, right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
So here, this is audience participation time. I want anybody that wants to unmute yourself and tell us what was different, what you saw different from the first time he sang to the second time he sang. And I'll take anyone.
He has more excitement in his voice.
More excitement. Thank you, Fariba.
Yeah.
Passion. Passion, sure. He felt like he had permission to just unleash.
Ooh, permission to unleash. I love that. Thank you, Ty. Who else? Take one more. I love that nobody's shy here. We got two people right away. Let's get one more. All right, Kimberly, you have your video on, so I'm calling on you. Kimberly Munoz.
Uh-oh. No, I'm going to steal people's responses from the chat. So I like what Marissa said about, yes, a personal experience to link with. And so, yeah, you could feel the passion in his voice differently than the first time.
Love that. Passion. So purpose, passion, excitement, permission. I love all those words. I always talk about that because it's kind of the theme of the presentation, that second singer, right? Don't we all want to be like that second singer? So a couple of questions I like to ask. What did you notice about the audience reaction? I mean, good clap, right? Good clap the first time. But what about the second time? People were standing up, you know, and I know Dr. Michael Levins, he's used to when he walks in the room, people doing this, but not all of us have that happen, right? So we have to live like he did. Really stand up and live into your why. And that's when people notice your passion, your purpose, and they want to follow you. You know, Simon Sinek in his very famous TED Talk said, if you tell people what you do, they lump you in with everyone else who does what you do. If you tell people why you do it, you connect with them. So that's why having that why was so important. Here's the other thing. Did you notice that it was the same singer and the same song? Same auditorium, same audience, same person asking the question, but a completely different outcome when he had a why. When he knew why he was doing it, his performance had more impact. I'll ask you another question. Was he good the first time? Right? Great baritone. He was good. So there's a lot of us walking around. Lindsay is great at what she does. Dr. Michael Levins is good at what he does. We're all good at what we do. But don't we want to be great at what we do? Don't we want to live into that purpose that wakes us up, that gets us up every morning saying, man, I can't wait to get to work and live my why. So that's what we're going to spend our time on today. Any other final thoughts before we move on? And I love that people are using the chat, by the way. So the next slide's really important for the chat. I want you in the chat to write, what would make today a success for you? What would make the next, and we got about 25 minutes left. What would make the next 25 minutes a 25 minutes well spent? Just put it in the chat and then I'll read them out as they come up. People are shyer about typing. To be able to articulate my why, great. It would remotivate me in my work. Excellent, LC. Thank you. Let's get a couple more in there. Learning something new that I can take and use in my classroom. Great, Laura. I think you're gonna get that. So we're gonna try to hit all those things. Helping to connect my why. Great, Lorna. And help me understand how to make that shift from being good at what I do, how to be great at what I do. Love it, Heather. So, we believe that we all want to be like that second singer. We're all good. We want to be better. We want to be great. We want to spread passion, as someone just said. Make that shift. Help me understand how to make that shift from being good at what I do to how to be great at what I do. I love that. Who was that? Let me hide that because the chat's hiding. Let's see here. That was Heather White. Thank you, Heather. This is great. You guys are putting some great stuff. So, Dr. Gary Sanchez, our founder at the Y, says, when you know your why, you're only 1/3 of the way there.
What?
Right? What are you talking about? There's more to the why. And that's where the other 2/3 exist. The why, the how, and the what. That original why that Simon Sinek talked about. There's a why, which is why you do what you do, why you get up in the morning. There's a how. How do you accomplish that? How do you live into your why? And then there's a what. What is it that people can count on from you? What is it that you deliver? What is it that you bring to the table that others do not? So I like to, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on why I am here because there's so much content, but I will tell you that in 2019, I was a VP of sales at a major medical device company making really, really amazing money and traveling the world and closing deals. And I thought I had it made. I came home from that trip and my 11-year-old daughter, my then 7-year-old daughter, had written in her journal about her birthday coming up. And that journal entry really woke me up. Because at the end of her journal entry, she said, my birthday was great. I just wish my dad had been here. But he couldn't be here because he had to work. And I wanted to call him and tell him thank you for the great birthday party, but I didn't want to bother him because his work's important. And I made a decision that day that was not how my story was going to end. I had 7 years from the pension at Baxter Healthcare, which the pension there was 80% of your top 5 highest earning years. And as a sales leader, you can imagine my 5 highest earning sales years were really good and included stock options and all that stuff. But I said, no, that's not how the story's going to end. And everybody thought I was crazy. They said, you're leaving, you're 7 years from the pension. And I said, yes, because I'm also 7 years from having a 14-year-old daughter I don't know. And I'm also 7 years away from having a former spouse that I'm going to have to split that very generous pension with 50-50. So it's not that big now that I think about it. So I made a decision and I decided I was going to do something that allowed me to be with the people I love the most and allowed me to live into my why. I had no idea what my why was. I met Gary Sanchez, the founder of Y Institute. He'd been my dentist for 22 years. We've known each other now 26 years, and I've been helping him grow the Y Institute because it made such a difference in my life. And you're going to learn my YOS later, so I'll tell you all about it. But that's why I'm here. It made such a difference in my life that I want to spread it to as many people as I can. Lindsay is one of those people that I helped spread that to, and she's now one of our YOS certified coaches. And so we've got over 250 coaches around the world, and that's my mission, to help as many people discover their why. And we do that through our coaches. So we believe that when you know your why, you know yourself in one dimension. If you know your why and your how, you add a second dimension. And if you know your why, how, and what, which is what we call the why operating system, you know yourself in all 3 dimensions. So what the heck is a why operating system? We believe that the why is why you do what you do. Think of it as your motivation. Your how is how you bring your why to life, your process. And we believe that your what is ultimately what you bring, your deliverable, what people can count on from you. So I'm going to give you some examples, and we're going to use some of the people in the room here today. So if we, and before I do that, I'm going to share with you what the 9 whys are. If you're a note taker, I believe this call is being recorded. Is that right? Yeah, so it's being recorded. You can always come back. But if you want to take a screenshot of this, these are the 9 whys. We start with from the most common to the least common. So think about people you might know who have this why as I go through them. The first one is contribute. People who want to make a difference, make an impact. For them, it's all about helping others succeed. Trust. People who believe in creating relationships based on trust. For them, if they trust you and you trust them, sky's the limit. If you break their trust, it's a problem. Makes sense. People who like to make sense of things. These are your problem solvers. You can give them a lot of information and they'll really quickly synthesize it, come back at you and say, I know what we need to do. We've met those people. They're brilliant. They can solve problems really quickly. Better way. People who like to find better ways to do things and share them. By the way, this is Lindsay's why. And there's another person in the room that has this why, but Lindsay loves to find a better way to do things and share them. Guess what she did? She found the why OS. She loves it and she's sharing it with all of you. She said, oh, we've got to share it with Sarasota University, Dan. That's what they do. They can't help but find better ways and share them with others. Right way. People who like to do things the right way in order to get results. These are people that like systems, processes, and they like to see people get consistent, reliable results. For them, it's about doing it the right way. They're the masterminds usually behind every successful organization. Every successful organization has to have a visionary, the person that comes up with the ideas, but everybody also has to have a right way person that's going to put them into place. These are the Roy Disneys to the Walt Disneys, right? They make everything happen. Very important people. Challenge to think differently and challenge the status quo. You all know, every one of us knows one of these people. And if you have kids, all of your kids probably have this why, or at least we think they do. They are the ones that say, hey, why do we have to do it that way? They like to think outside the box, be creative. You put these people in a box and they wilt. You tell them how to do their job, exactly what to do, and and give them a very strict restrictions, and they will wilt. You put them in a place where they can be creative and bring their ideas to the table and be different, and they will flourish. Very important to know this about them. Mastery, people who like to seek mastery and understanding. They love to learn things at a deep level. These are your subject matter experts. These are the people you call when you go to court and you need an expert witness. They know their stuff. And then the last two are clarify and simplify. Clarify is about making things crystal clear and understandable. These are people that will ask the questions that others may not even think about. Clarity is very important to them. And then the final one is simplify. People who like to make things crystal clear and understandable. So those are the 9 whys. I want you to keep those in mind because all of us have a little bit of all of them inside of us. And some of us have, and all of us have a top 3, and that's our why, our how, and our what. So Lindsay, for example, I'm going to get into that. So let's meet somebody famous here that you all know. So who is Ellen? Say your last name for me, Ellen. I want to say it right.
Lastinger.
Lastinger. See, I would have said it the other way. So I'm glad you said it. So Ellen Lastinger, if we look at Ellen and we just look at her picture, we're going to make assumptions, right? That's what we do when we meet people. We're going to say, well, she's got a friendly smile. You know, her hair is bleached. I wonder if she spends time in the sun. You know, it looks like, you know, and she's got a great, she looks approachable, but that's about it. What do we know? But what if I tell you a little bit more about her? What if I tell you that Ellen's why is right way? And I know she's the director of admissions, so she has to follow systems and processes. And I bet she enjoys that. And that's probably why she's good at it. Because some of us don't like systems and processes, don't like rules. Those people with the why of challenge don't like them, but she does. There's a way to take a student through the admission process. And she's probably, when she goes into a situation where there isn't a process, she'll create one. And it'll be repeatable. And it'll get us consistent, reliable results. And those are the kind of things that Michael Levins likes as the leader of the university, because he knows he's got some consistency in that admissions department. Her how is make sense. So how she finds those right ways is by helping people solve problems. She's good at problem solving. So when she solves problems, then she creates systems and processes so that they can get consistent, reliable results. And then we know that her what is trust. Trust is important to her. What she delivers are solutions you can trust. Ellen, how does that sound to you?
Very accurate.
Accurate. And we're gonna talk about that with your strengths too. So now, if you were going into, I'm gonna give, everybody here has already been admitted or is an alum, right? So we're not cheating here. But if I'm a student trying to get into Sarasota and I know her YOS and I have an opportunity to spend 5 minutes with her on the plane, I'm gonna tell her about how accepting me as a student how good I am at following the process. I'm going to show her how I'm good at I'm going to follow the systems and the process. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to ask her the right questions so she can see that, hey, he's going to follow the process. I'm going to show her how I can solve a problem for Sarasota University. And then I'm going to show her that she can trust me. And if I can show her that I can follow systems and processes, I can solve problems, and I can build trust. Am I a student you might want to consider admitting, Ellen?
Sure.
Yeah, because we're talking the same language. And so that's what that's about. I don't know if Norman made it. Is Norman here? If you're here, just speak up, Norman. But we all know him too, right? His why is challenge. Which gets so fun when we look at his strengths too. His why is to challenge the status quo, think differently, think outside the box. His how is mastery. So how he challenges the status quo is by learning things at a deep level and then saying, wait a minute, why do we have to do it that way? I've researched and I figure out some different ways of doing it. And his what is contributed. Ultimately, what you can count on from him is that he's committed to the success of those around him. Michael, does that sound like him? Yeah, wait till we see his strengths. I want to get into that.
I would say that definitely sounds like Dr. Lorenz. Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you so much. So what about Dr. Michael Levins here? So again, we'll make assumptions based on the picture, but let's not make assumptions. His why is to find a better way. He's always looking for better ways to do things. And when he finds those better ways, he shares them. He's not stingy about it. How he does that is similar to Ellen by making sense of things. He solves problems quickly. He's a problem solver. And what you can count on from him are solutions that are different and outside the box. So he needs an Ellen. I'll tell you what, with Better Way and Challenge in your YOS, Dr. Levitz, you need some right way people around you that will take all those great ideas and put them into a system so they can be repeatable. Because otherwise, you're going to be full of ideas all the time because my how is challenged and nobody's there to take notes. And all of a sudden, the ideas disappear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we know a little bit about how we use this, right? And what's great about the YOS discovery is it only takes 8 minutes to do. And it's very simple. We've all taken the strengths. It takes a little more time. You get a lot more depth with it. This is only getting to your motivations and your beliefs very quickly so you know how to talk to each other and the people around you. Now, there's a lot of depth to the results, and we give you a lot of information, and Lindsay can talk to you more about that. But I just want to share with you an overview today. So it takes 8 minutes to do. We believe that if Mark Twain was here today, he would say the 2 most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find your YOS. He didn't have that information yet, so he called it the why. At this point, does anybody have any questions? We're really flying through. We're more than halfway through, and I want to make sure I answer any questions if anybody has any. All right, Sarasota, we're gonna give you a question. We're gonna try. Who knows what this is? And anybody, put it in the chat. Who knows what this is? A cow. Emily, great job. A leaf. Everybody see the cow? Emily Bynum got it right. So let me help you guys cheat a little bit. Okay. So now I'm showing you what that looks like. Now do you see the cow? And now that you can see the cow, it's very hard not to see the cow, right? Now it's there. If you go back and forth, it's like, oh yeah, there's the cow. Next time, you guys are all going to be, next time anybody uses this in a presentation again, you guys are going to be the 1 out of 43 people that says, I know that's a cow, because you can't unsee it. We believe that's the same thing when you know somebody's YOS. Is anybody going to go talk to Dr. Michael Levins anymore without knowing that he's a Better Way guy who likes to make sense of things and deliver things that are different? Hey, if I'm pitching something to Dr. Levins, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to say, hey, let me show you how this is better. Let me show you the problem that it solves, and let me show you how it's different. And like he's doing right now, he'll be doing this. That's a gold mine for somebody in business development like myself. I know what words he's looking for. And so I know how to talk to him in his language. We call it the Platinum Rule at Y Institute. Talk to people in the language they like to hear. not your language, not the language you like to hear. The golden rule is treat others as you would like to be treated. But what if Dr. Michael Evans doesn't want to be treated the way I like to be treated? I'd like to treat him the way he likes to be treated. So that's what I'll do. So that's what we're going to talk about next. And so, your why is the first step in understanding your why. We believe knowing your YOS is 3 times better because you know your why, your how, and your what. And I'm talking to a bunch of really smart people, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just remember that in that famous Simon Sinek TED Talk, he said, start with your why, then your how, and then your what. There's a sequence. It's not how, what, why, not what, how, why, what, why, how. It's your why first, then your how, then your what. Just like assembling a grill or baking a cake, if you don't do it in the proper sequence, you don't get something that looks like this. You get a mess afterward, right? And so for those of you that want where does this all come from? It comes from basic brain biology. Now I'm no neurophysicist or a neuro specialist, but I do know there's 2 parts of the brain that come into play here. The first one is the neocortex, where rational and analytical thought and language reside. That's where numbers go. That's where when you tell somebody what you do goes. I'm a lawyer. I'm a dentist. I'm a consultant. Well, I know a lot of people who are lawyers, dentists, and consultants. So I'm going to compare you to every one of them based on the facts. Whereas if you talk to someone at their limbic brain, where feelings like loyalty and trust reside, and where 100% of our decision-making happens, but we have no capacity for language. How many here have ever bought something you didn't need? Because it felt good. That was our limbic brain doing it. And on the way home, if those of us that have a significant other, our neocortex kicked in, right? I bought something I didn't need. I bought a brand new set of golf clubs. Well, hun, they're really good. It's a really good brand. I'll not have to buy golf clubs for another 5 years. So if we amortize that over the 5 years, it's really only $100 a year. That's where the neocortex deals with the information and backs up the decision you made with your limbic brain. And that's why we believe the YOS is so important, because it deals specifically with the limbic brain. People can make a decision whether or not they want to work with you. So what's your YOS? We're gonna have a few people just go through it. So we're going to do a why activity. And again, we talked about your YOS is your why, your how, and your what. And when you take the YOS, you'll be able to click on these boxes and you get a simple YOS. But what we would do if this was a regular workshop, I'd have everybody share it with everyone else. But since we don't have that kind of time, we're going to ask Dr. Lindsay Pollock to share her YOS. And so we know her why is better way. We've talked about it. Her how is mastery. Explains the Ed D after her name, and her what is contribute. She wants to make a difference in the lives of others. So this is Dr. Lindsay Pollock. Lindsay, would you mind reading your YOS to us out loud? This is what you get. This is part of your results. And just cut out the why part.
Sure.
The why, how, and what.
I believe that success happens when we find a better way and are able to share it. How I do that is by seeking depth, breadth, and details. Ultimately, what I bring is a way to contribute and add value, have an impact on the lives of others.
Who knows Dr. Lindsay? Sound like her? Yeah. She's a lifelong learner. She's got her Ed D. She likes to find better ways and share them. So let's know a little bit more about her. Her number 1 is ideation. When I look at ideation, when I look up that strength and I look at better way, I might as well be looking at the exact same thing, right? Talking about creating things, being innovative, right? That's what better way people do. They take things that exist, find a way to make them better. So we'll see some correlation. I think as you look at YOS and you look at strengths together, we find that it really helps you understand your best self. And this isn't, just like with strengths, the YOS isn't about changing you. It's about finding out who you are and being your best self. Because when you know who you are, you can be stronger. You can let people know, hey, I believe that success happens when we find a better way and share it with others. You can take that to the bank. I believe that the best way to do that is by seeking depth and breadth, is what Lindsay's going to say. And ultimately, what I bring are solutions that are contributing to the success of others. Now, when you hear that, you're either going to say, "Ooh, I like her. I want to work with her." Or, not so much. And that's okay too. Because if you like her and you want to work with her, you approach her and then you work with her. And if you don't, then you go look for someone else. But now you know what you're going to get. These are the places where she thrives. And then you combine that with her 5 strengths and you know how she's going to go about it. She's gonna look for a better way and help and share it with others. She's gonna seek mastery, and she's gonna contribute to your success. And she's gonna use ideation, responsibility, arranger, input, and includer to get it done. Does that make sense? So
It does to me, Dan, and I think, for me, in the education setting, I wish that as a school leader, I would have had these insights into my operating system,
yeah.
because as a better way person, I'm always looking for new ways to do things. And I know I probably drove my staff crazy with wanting to change things all the time, because I would see something that wasn't going quite right, and I'd want to, start with a better way. And if I'd taken the time to really think about how that was impacting the people around me, I might have had a better impact. I think we did okay. We did all right as a campus. Certainly, I feel successful about that. And I think that my impact on people around me could have been magnified if I'd recognized their strengths and their operating systems and had the opportunity to interact with them. I think the same when I'm interacting with parents on my campus.
Yeah.
And certainly the kids, even in our classrooms, have a way of operating that we can, once we realize what those are, those characteristics in our colleagues, in school settings, with parents, we can amplify the impact that we have on our campuses. So this is just gold. I'm so grateful for these insights, Dan.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And the check's in the mail. Well, I couldn't find a better way to conclude. I think at the end of the day, and we're going to get to the Q&A because I want to be staying on schedule. We said 40 minutes of presentation and then 20 minutes of Q&A. I have some other slides, and I'll share them during the Q&A because I'm sure you'll ask questions relating to that. So at this time, any questions? And let's get into the Q&A. And put them in you can put them in the chat, or you can yell them out. It's up to you.
Is this a Clifton Strengths Finder survey?
The YOS?
Yes. Your ideation. I lead with ideation, strategic, futuristic, input, maximizer, developer, learner, communication, activator, and positivity. Those are my top 10.
Yeah.
And that's what our school does. So I'm just trying to ascertain what this 9 months is going to yield for us as a school.
Yeah.
So that's what my question is.
Yeah. So the Clifton strengths that I shared for Lindsay and that I'll share for everyone else. Let me stop sharing. I'll share it with you guys, because I went ahead and looked at the 9 whys and the top 3 whys of the 4 people on Dr. Lawrence, Dr. Pollock, Miss Lastinger, and Dr. Levins. I got all your YOSs and I put them in a chart so we can look at them. So I'll share those with you. And I found that to be very useful for me as I was looking at this stuff. So let me look. And I want to share that with you guys. So this is good stuff, by the way. Share. Yeah, let me share that. Of course, you lose your Zoom screen.
Our school has been doing this. We're a Montessori school. We've been doing the Clifton Strengths Finder with our teachers and our staff and our students for 4 years now. This is our 4th year. Been very beneficial for our staff.
Excellent.
And for building a cohesive administrative team.
Yeah. So do you see the what I'm sharing on the screen here? One of the ways that we look to use this is so I like looking at when things line up so perfectly. If you look at Dr. Levins and Lindsay are both better way.
Yep.
And their number 1 strength is ideation.
Yep, me too.
Matches up so well. So probably when we look at, when you take your YOS, Rowena, I have a feeling Better Way is going to be somewhere in your top 3. When we look at Ellen, Director of Admissions, Right Way Makes Sense Trust, her first number 1 is input. She collects things, right? She collects process systems and then she implements them. Who would have guessed that Dr. Norman Lawrence, whose why is to challenge the status quo and think differently, his number 1 strength would be futuristic.
Yeah, that's my number. That's 3 for me.
Number 3 for you. So
Yeah,
what we
input is
have now-
4.
And what?
Input is 4 for me.
Excellent. Excellent.
Learner is 6. Yeah, I got them. All futuristic thinking. Yeah.
Love it.
Communication.
Let me say something before. I'm going to put something in the chat. And that's my email address. So to take the YOS, you can work with Dr. Lindsay, or if the university decides this is something you guys want to do, we'll come up with a plan for you guys. But I'm going to give away 10 free YOSs tonight. And that's going to go to the first 10 people that email me after the presentation's over. Okay. So you can't cheat and start emailing me right now, because then you won't pay attention. But when the presentation's over, the first 10 people that email me, I will send you a free link to discover your YOS. And Rowena, I know you're going to try to be one of those 10 people. So just copy that and be ready to go. Okay, guys?
We're good. I'm in.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I have a question for you guys. I'm going to share it. What about YOS and strengths? We've talked a little bit about it. I wanted to share what I had on my show today. It's so perfect that I had one of my coaches on the show today, and she actually, let's see here. I'm going to see how well I do again, sharing my screen and playing something for you guys. All right. So this is Langley Downs, and she's an executive coach. And I'll just play this quick 48-second clip.
There are 34 strengths, so that makes 1 in 33 million chance that my top 5 are in the same order as someone else's. So that's like, but with the 9 Ys and 441 combinations, to me, that's a much simpler approach to the world. Mm-hmm. And to me, and they're still valid. They map to your strengths.
Yeah. And it's great that you brought that up and that you've been talking to Jeff, because one of the things Jeff brought up, and it was in a conference call we were doing, I think he was talking to our coaches. He said that your how is where your strengths really come in. So in your how of simplify is a lot of how you're going to do things is using those strengths that you have, right? It's how you're going to bring your why to life.
There are 34 strengths,
so there you go. So there's a clip just fresh off, hot from the presses. We aired today at 11:30. So, that's a question that often gets asked. People always say, Dan, well, is this better than strengths? Is this better than DISC? Is this better than Colby or all the other assessments that are out there? And my answer to that is no, it's complementary. Because you notice when you put them next to each other, you just learn so much more about the person than when if you just know their DISC, or you just know their strengths, or you just know their YOS, well, you know a little bit about them. But you have the opportunity when you know the YOS and the other assessments. There are people, some of our coaches use multiple assessments. Jeff Pottinger, who Langley was talking about, he works with military veterans from the Special Operations Command, so Navy SEALs, Rangers, Special Forces, who are transitioning to the civilian world, and he helps them create what he calls he's done what he calls a whiteboard, and he spells it WHYTE board. And then with their strengths, he helps veterans. Imagine you're a combat veteran, you're trying to get a civilian job, and your only skill is you can tell your civilian employer, hey, I can kill someone from 800 yards away. And that's just not going to be very helpful in the civilian world. Well, he helps them take their strengths, their 5 strengths, their top 5 strengths, and their why, how, and what, and create a statement about themselves using those 5 strengths and their 3 whys. And now they can talk about, hey, my number 1 is winning others over. And you can imagine that being in sales. Who would have thought, right? But, you take that and then you create a statement about it. And then you take that with my why of contributing to the success of others and helping people. That's what I love to do. And how I do that is by challenging the status quo. I don't do anything by the book. So me and Dr. Michael Levins are going to get along. I like to say, I ask the question, hey, why do we have to do it that way? Why can't we do it differently? And so we're going to have a lot of fun ideating, but we're going to make sure we invite Ellen to the party, because Ellen's going to take notes. And then she's going to, at the end of the meeting, she's going to say something like, okay, Dan and Dr. Michael, you guys came up with about 20 ideas. 10 of them are so crazy, we're not even going to talk about them. 6 of them match our 10-year plan. 3 of them are in our budget, and about 2 of them fit our current plans, our focus. So those are the ones we're going to concentrate on. And we're going to say, great, thank you so much. Because otherwise we'd be trying to pick through the 20 ideas. And that's why we need these amazing right way people around us like Ellen. So does that make sense?
Those words have been said.
Yes, right?
I think
I
I've
can
said them,
imagine that
Ellen.
they have.
I so appreciate your skills, Ellen. You keep us on the right track.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's every meeting.
And yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was going to say, and smart leaders surround themselves. You would think so. This happens a lot when, and Lindsay, I don't know if you've done a lot of these team workshops. Sometimes when I do these team workshops, and I'll have the leader at the, in the room, and you'll have somebody with the why, like Ellen, of right way, doing things the right way, following the rules, and then someone else with the why of challenge, someone who lives to break the rules. And we notice that often these two people don't get along. Right. And when they read about each other or themselves, all of a sudden there's laughter in the room, because all we're looking for is understanding.
Yeah.
Ellen just wants to know that, hey, Dr. Levins doesn't hate me. It's how he thinks. He thinks outside the box. And I'm trying to put him in a box and have him follow all the rules. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to say, hey, why do we have to do it that way? And Dr. Levins is going to say, oh, she's not a stick in the mud. She just thinks that way. She is built to create structure and process.
That has never been said. Just to
right. That's perfect. Thank you. Good. We're getting along. But I noticed that you're laughing, right? And I often stop the presentation and I say, leader, whether it's a CEO, a university president, I say, do you notice what's happening here? These people now understand each other, and they know that that's their special gift. Dr. Michael Levins is going to come up with better ways to do anything. So Lindsay, one of the things that I know about Better Way people is they do frustrate the people that work for them, because no matter what you bring to them, they're going to say, ooh, Dan, that's really good. Let me show you how to make it better. And they'll dig in. And if you're a contribute person like myself who lives to make a difference, or you're a trust person who wants to be a trusted source, that can be like a stab in the heart, because you're like, well, I worked on that for 4 days. And then the minute I handed it to him or her, she said, oh, let me show you how to make it better. It's not good enough until you realize that that's their special gift. So if I were working for Dr. Michael Levins or for Lindsay, you know what I would do? And I do this with our founder and CEO, Gary Sanchez, because his why is Better Way. Whenever I start on a project, I get it about 40% done, and then I hand it to him. So what do you think? And they make it better. They love doing it. And they give me all their ideas. And then I just incorporate their ideas and my presentation's better. And now I'm not frustrated. I'm taking advantage of their gifts, and they enjoy doing that. Just like Ellen enjoys creating processes and systems. You let people live where they want to live. And the question that comes up too with regards, I think Rowena was asking, what's the where does this fit with strengths? What we have found is that the YOS Discovery, the reason it's so complementary to other assessments is because it's the only one that really concentrates on motivations and beliefs. Mm-hmm. And all the others are going to be about how we do things. So we're not saying, hey, Sarasota, get rid of strengths, because no, we believe like you do that your best self is your real self, and you want to use those strengths. It's how you're going to bring your YOS to life. You're going to use those strengths. So if you want to predict, so Ellen, as you're looking at those students that come in, those new students, you want to predict if they have a why of challenge. Those kids are going to come in and say, well, why do I have to take classes? Why do I have to take 15 hours? If I'm on scholars, can I not take 30 hours in the second semester and blow off the first semester like I did as a freshman on scholarship? Those are some of the things that you're going to know. We work with a baseball coach at New Mexico State University, and his why was trust. And so when we started working with him, we said, who would be your ideal team? He said, well, I would want a team full of trusts. How good would that be? Yeah. Well, it would be good because they'd get along. They'd all talk the same language, but you're giving up on a lot of really good players who don't have the why of trust, right? So as he learned more, he started saying, wait a minute, I can recruit anybody. It's knowing their why that's going to help me. Because if I know they're a challenge, and I have a how of challenge, my why is contribute, but I'm a person who needs pretty wide bumpers. Dr. Levins probably needs pretty wide bumpers. Don't put him here. Give him wide bumpers. Say, so let me tell you, I told you the story about why I left corporate. For 17 years at Baxter Healthcare, I had a boss who every time he got promoted would promote me and I'd be right under him still. And so I became a regional manager. I became a national sales director. I became an area sales director, all under him. And his guidance to me every year was, Dan, here's your quota. Don't break the law. See you at the next quarterly meeting. Wide bumpers. I had fun. I could do pretty much anything except break the law and hit my sales numbers. And I could do that every day. I could do it while I was sleeping. He retired 2 years before I left Baxter. And boy, was that a big change for me, because all of a sudden the guy who let me do things however I wanted, as long as I got results, was gone. And it was all about the new guy wanted me to follow a plan and tell him how many times a month I was visiting with my regional managers and how many times a month I was visiting the major regional accounts across the country. And that got old really fast. Gained 20 pounds. I was stressed, and I made my decision to leave because I wasn't being able to do it my own way. So great question, Carrie Ann Rabbers. How do you determine another person's why? You have them take the why discovery. Just like the strengths assessment, you can go to whyinstitute.com and take it, or you can be one of the first 10 people that emails me when the presentation's over, and I will send you a free YOS discovery so you can take it. And I'll create these and send a link to everybody that signs up. So that would be fantastic. Any other questions? You guys are good.
Well, Dan, I just want to say thank you again for all your information. Your enthusiasm and passion for this work just is electric, even virtually. So thank you. And you are making a difference. You are contributing to making the world a better place. And we thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We will be sending out certificates of attendance for your professional development records. And I just want to remind everyone, we have an information session on the 24th, Tuesday the 24th at 4:30 Central Time. You can sign up for that at the Sarasota University website. And it's been an honor to spend this time with you tonight. Y'all, thank you, and continue to have a great week. We'll see you next month, November 15th. And our guest speaker is Dr. Norman Lorenz, Sarasota University faculty.
Quick question, last thing I want to say, because I want to make sure if any of you are interested in learning how to become a certified coach, make an appointment with me. I'm going to put a link in the chat, or you can just email me. So the first 10 will get their YOS, but if you want to learn more, if your work is in the coaching space or in the HR space, and you want to learn more about the certification, by all means, just reach out to me. And by the way, if you meet with me, I do the YOS for you for free. So please don't book appointments just to get the YOS for free. But if you're interested, I don't meet with anybody unless I know their Y operating system, because it makes it so much easier to talk to people. But thank you so much, Dr. Lindsay, Dr. Levins, and Ellen, for having me. It's been fun.
And I've just dropped your email into the chat again, Dan. And thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you next month, November 15th. Same time, same channel. Be sure to register and share the link.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.